It started on a night when silence pressed against the walls of my apartment, heavy and unbroken. I had been sitting at my desk far too long, my eyes burning from the glow of the computer screen. When I finally looked up, my gaze landed on the tall mirror propped in the corner of my room. Nothing unusual, just my reflection, pale and tired, staring back. But when I turned away, something flickered at the edge of my vision. The mirror caught it first, a shift, a tremor in the stillness. I looked back quickly, and my reflection was just that, me, motionless. Normal. My heart stumbled a little, but I blamed exhaustion. I tried again, turning away, glancing back, and that's when I noticed it. My reflection's head tilted a fraction of a second after mine, as though it was hesitating, almost lagging behind. A small delay, but unmistakable. The room felt colder. The air heavier. I pushed myself up from the desk, moving closer to the mirror. My reflection copied me as expected, arm raised, hand brushing through my hair, but again, a fraction too late. Like it had to think about the movement before doing it. I swallowed hard, a laugh escaping my lips though it sounded wrong, brittle. I leaned in closer, studying the glass. My own eyes stared back, but there was a distance in them, a hollow patience that wasn't mine. Something pressed at the edges of my thoughts, a quiet certainty I didn't want to admit. The mirror wasn't just reflecting anymore. It was watching. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the weight of the mirror across the room. Its surface gleamed faintly in the dark, a pale rectangle that caught the glow of the streetlights outside. I turned my back to it, pulling the blanket tighter, but unease prickled across my skin like static. When I finally drifted off, a soft sound woke me, a scrape like fingernails dragging lightly over glass. My heart slammed against my ribs. I forced myself to look, and the mirror seemed unchanged. My reflection lay under the covers, but the shadows were wrong. Something stretched longer across the floor than it should have, bending against the edges of the walls like liquid. I sat up slowly. The reflection sat up, too, but not in time. It was late again. Too late. And then I noticed its shadow behind it wasn't mine. I couldn't breathe. The shape was taller, broader, like something standing just behind my mirrored self, its head bowed forward as though it was leaning in close. I whipped around. My room was empty. But when I turned back, the figure's shadow remained. I scrambled for my phone, fumbling to turn on the flashlight. A harsh white beam cut through the room, scattering shadows across the walls. Nothing moved outside the glass, only inside it. My reflection stood rigid, my mouth open in a gasp, but in the mirror, behind me, that shadow shifted. It seemed to lean closer, stretching long, thin fingers toward my shoulder. I dropped the phone. The light rolled away, spinning into darkness. And in the faint glow left behind, I swear I saw my mirrored self smile. By the third night, I couldn't convince myself it was exhaustion anymore. Something was wrong with the mirror, with whatever lived behind it. I tried covering it with a sheet, but no matter how tightly I pinned the fabric, by morning it was crumpled on the floor, as if something had pulled it down from the other side. I avoided looking at it for most of the day, but eventually curiosity, or desperation, won. I sat in front of the mirror, studying every detail. My reflection matched me at first, though there was still that faint hesitation, like it was learning how to mimic me. But the longer I watched, the more the differences grew. When I scratched my arm, my reflection scratched its neck instead. When I blinked, it kept its eyes open. I tried mouthing words, simple things, hello, stop, leave. My reflection's lips moved, but not in the same shapes. It was speaking back in silence, forming words that weren't mine. That's when I realized it wasn't lagging. It was choosing. Panic clawed at me, but I couldn't look away. My reflection tilted its head, studying me as though I were the one trapped behind the glass. Then, slowly, it lifted its hand and pressed its palm against the mirror. I didn't move. Still, a pale imprint bloomed on the surface, fingers stretched wide against the glass. But here's the part that froze my blood. The print wasn't aligned with mine. It wasn't mirrored, it was on the wrong side. The realization hit me like ice. Whatever was in there wasn't a reflection. It was closer than that. Too close. And it wanted out. I stopped turning off the lights in my room after that. Darkness gave it strength. The mirror pulsed with a dull, silvery glow, like moonlight bleeding into the air. Every time I looked, the thing inside had drifted closer, no longer imitating, no longer pretending. It watched me with a hunger that was patient and cruel. Its face looked like mine, only in pieces, the jaw a little too wide, the smile stretched, the eyes so black they swallowed the light. Sometimes when I moved, it didn't move at all. It just stood there waiting. One evening, I forced myself to test it. I dragged the mirror into the center of the room and sat cross-legged before it. My reflection didn't sit. It crouched, low and animalistic, its lips peeled back in a grin that showed far too many teeth. My chest tightened, breath shallow, but I kept staring. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt wrong in front of that glass. Then, suddenly, a crack splintered across the surface. The sound was sharp, violent, like bones snapping. I stumbled back, heart hammering, as the fracture spread like veins across the mirror. From inside, it pressed forward, distorted by the broken lines, its face bending into grotesque shapes. A hand shoved against the glass, and I swear I saw the surface bulge outward, as though the barrier between us was thinning. The room temperature plummeted, breath fogging in the air. Then the whisper came, not from behind me, not in my head, from the mirror itself. A voice like mine, only deeper, wetter, dragged across my ears. Closer it rasped. The glass shuddered. One more crack, one more push, and it would be through. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every sound became a threat. The tick of the clock, the hum of the fridge, the faint wind outside my window. But nothing compared to the mirror. The cracks had widened, thin black lines crawling like veins across its surface. The thing inside had stopped hiding. When I moved, it didn't bother copying me. It just stared, crouched low, one hand pressed against the fractured glass. And then it stopped moving altogether, still as stone, as if waiting for something. I tried to leave the room, but my legs locked. A sickening pull rooted me to the floor. My chest heaved, lungs burning, and my gaze snapped back to the mirror. That's when I realized the truth. The mirror wasn't following me anymore. I was following it. Every twitch, every blink, every tremor of fear on my face was mirrored after I felt it, not before. My body wasn't leading. It was obeying. My reflection was in control. I screamed and lunged for the door, but the sound caught in my throat. My reflection didn't scream. It smiled. My body froze mid-motion, suspended like a puppet on strings. Inside the mirror, the thing tilted its head, and then it began to stand. The cracks split wider, a shriek of tearing glass echoing through the room. A pale, clawed hand slipped through, dripping with some thick, black liquid that sizzled on the floorboards. The smile widened, stretching beyond human. The last thing I remember before the glass shattered was my own reflection leaning close, whispering with my voice, "You've been mine from the first glimpse." The room went dark.